but it's just a learning curve. So you follow along. I try to give the information that I think is most beneficial to you. Moving is critical. Moving is important. We all realize from the Parkinson Foundation Moving Day that we kind of promote moving, and it's very important. But, all movements are not actually always created equal. The way we learn how to move is actually important to build coordination, balance, and the understanding of the consciousness of our movement. So, with that said, anyone that's new joining in, just follow along. If you have questions, you can always email us, and if it's too fast or too slow, because it's streaming, I can't actually see what you're doing, but do your best, follow along. Okay, I'll try to do it as slowly as possible. Okay, first of all, let's start off with our feet like this, 90 degrees, okay? So this is just setting up your shoulder width stance. Okay, shoulder width stance is how we do most of these upper body exercises, okay? Now we go up to this position, and before doing all of the exercises, I'm going to define a few things that we have. We have a center line. This center line, we bring our hands together, we have a triangle. So the triangle is point A, B, and C. That's our center line. We work off our center line, so we have equal movement and a position that we can, work off of as a frame of reference. Now, when we spread our hands like this, it's a hoop, a circle, or at least a cross-section, a slice of that circle, okay? Now, we extend the elbows. That's square. Okay, square, we drop our arms. It kind of runs parallel and runs along the side of our body. Okay, so reviewing that, it's the triangle. So the elbows are bent. You see from the side view that it's really angular, okay? Extending it is another position, but we're working with this. Okay, triangular position, hoop, circular position, and parallel or square, because this is essentially 90 degrees to your torso or your chest. And then drop your hands, okay? Now directionally we have forward, we have backward, we have right and left movements, we have up and down movements. We also have movements that kind of go on the slant or the oblique movements. So that's because movements are actually three-dimensional. I'm just sort of bringing in, the frontal plane of the movement, so that's what you can see. But actually, because as we move, we kind of move around in a space, so all of these movements happen, actually in front of you, so you can reference your own body. Eye level, forehead level, that's kind of the upper level, shoulder level, and waist level, okay? Then when it comes to the feet, we have the shoulder width stance. Okay, we'll work on that a little bit more later, okay? And then we'll go into some of the stance work. But meanwhile, let's go to the shoulder width stance, hands up like this, okay? This is your hoop, and we're just gonna turn. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. Okay, one hand on the waist. If it's easier, start with both hands on the waist. Now I'm doing mirror image. So just copy. I'm bringing my right side up, so your left side should be, so we should look like this. Go to the side. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, next, here's your square position. Let's bring it up to about shoulder height. Reach down. If it helps, slide down your leg, stretch a little bit, and then we move to one direction, and then to the other side, and then back up to center. Inhale, exhale. We move up, go down. Now when both hands are here, now go to one side, just follow the direction that I rotated and back. Lift up, inhale, exhale. Hands up, reach down, 1, 2, 3. Turn this way and turn this way. Center, inhale. Now the palms are up, then the palms are down. Okay, just focusing on that motion, it's up and down. Okay, you inhale, exhale. And we breathe through the nose. Inhalation, exhalation, so it's kind of like an up and down movement. So just think of lifting and descending on the exhalation. Hands on your waist, circular movements, your feet are flat on the floor, relax the ankles, keep the head as still as possible, move between the neck and your ankle. Keep the circle around. And 10. Switch, circle around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And stop. Okay, now we're going to cross our forearms. So you look at your position, you see my position. We're going to bend the knees and try to hold the kneecaps. If you can reach down, make 3, or we're going to do about 10 circles. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm going to switch the sides, go toward the direction of the hand on the outside. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and stop. Okay, good. Now hands on the waist. Okay, turning, neck exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, center, tilt to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and stop. Okay, down, make a couple of circles, 1, 2. Reverse, 1, 2. Center. Okay, next we're going to do the deep breathing exercise. So the hands are out in front of you. Fold the elbows and pull your palms toward your face. Now we're going to move the elbows to the side. Now we're flat like this. And then we're going to go out like this with the hands. Okay, and down. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, and out. Okay, again, starting lifting, palms up, palms in, palms down, out to the sides, up on your toes, and down. Okay, goes in, up on your toes, and down. Now we're going to inhale as we go up on our toes. Exhale as we go down. Inhale as we expand, up on your toes, exhale as we go down. So we breathe through the nose. It's different from other types of exercises. We focus on breathing through the nose, both inhalation and exhalation. So when we breathe, inhale, put your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so throughout the class, we'll go through, a bit of inhalation and exhalation just to get that deep breath, and it also gives us a chance to lift and relax, and we actually work, the balance and the strength in our feet, because we need to heighten our sensitivity and awareness that, the support is actually from the bottom. We have to heighten the awareness and get a feeling of what it feels like when our feet touch the ground. Okay, the ground, you get a lot of impulses and sensory stuff happening in the soles of your feet that kind of feed back to the brain, and it kind of lets you know, where you are in space, proprioception, and also learning to feel what that feels like as your toes are engaged and how your toes are so important in helping you balance and become stable in a position. So, we work the whole body from the soles of our feet to the top of our head. That's why I do so many different exercises. When you work the whole body, it's completely different from working just one side or isolating movement, because, my whole premise is building integration of body and building, that network of information that your brain needs to actually program your body into learning all these sequential events that are actually happening. Coordination is key, and learning to relax, your body is really avoiding the conflicts in movement. One of the things we have is tension or maybe stiffness. So how do we avoid some of the stiffness and tension? We have to learn to move. A consciousness of that level of understanding how to move is something we're trying to develop. So while we do all these deep breathing exercises, we're learning how to expand, how to control, how to relax this area of the body so that we can breathe more fully and more relaxed. Okay, so relax really means to release the tension in the joints in your body. So the biggest conflict is that tension. We may not realize it, but the thing is that's what's happening to our body, whether it's fear or maybe defensive mechanism creating a lot of this anxiety. So we want to learn to relax, learn to release, and learn to move. So moving is critical. Moving is essential to life. We have to move our limbs in the way they were designed to move. Anytime there's conflict in movement, it's probably tension. Okay, next, let's put our hands, on our waist, and we're going to do some shoulder rolls. Here again, we're working upper body. We're working the shoulders, we're working our back, we're working everything that involves making the circle is in the upper shoulder girdle of your body, and you want to learn and program this movement into your system. Okay. And then you just focus and pay attention to the roundness of that movement. Okay, go the other way. So, the Tai Chi paradigm that we're using as our learning tool is a learning process or learning method. It's systematized. It's, our approach or my approach to learning movement, especially Tai Chi movements, and also used in the Parkinson's class to sort of bridge this gap. Okay. So it is a registered teaching method, and it's a trademark to our school. Okay, so that's just loosening up the upper body, but it does take some control. Next, we press, okay, release. So you go back not as far as you can, but it's about 45 degrees, with the palm pressing. Then you release. You exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Breathe through your nose. Can't emphasize more that that's how we breathe throughout all our exercises, through the nose. And stop. Hands up again, deep breathing. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, let's make a couple of circles. First, starting off with the hands. Okay, now let's fold the legs. Fold the arms. So you build a coordination, it's kind of a timing with the movement. Okay, reverse. So try to track the movement sort of visually so that you can see where the hands are here and then where the hands are here. So anyone that's following, you can watch a little bit and then try to pick up on it and then do it. These exercises will be done every single session. We're going to be running these twice a week on a live stream, and then on Saturdays it's archived so you can see it 24/7. Okay, now we're down. Now we're going to make the big circle. Here's your arms pressing down. Now we're going to make a big circle. 1, 2, goes all the way up 3. And relax the shoulders. Remember, biggest conflict in movement is tension. So if you have a shoulder problem, don't force it. And relax. Going up, 1, 2, 3. Okay, copy the movement the best you can. 1, 2, and 3. So the arms stay essentially parallel until you reach up to reverse the direction. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll stop here, shake that out. Now we're going to do a little bit of balancing. So we're going to work the lower half of our body. We've been working the upper half most of the time. Other than standing in a position, we haven't been moving it. So let's try balancing. Okay, relax, hold the position. Let your foot work and compensate for what it feels that it needs to do to keep you standing on one leg. Now we're going to go up and down with the hands. You see how my hands are going like this? Okay, now when this side goes up, I'm going to lift this leg and press with this hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, shake it out. So a lot of times people say, well, I can't stay in a position of balance. You know, what can I do to improve my balance? Well, you're actually doing it. I call it specificity of training. If you do the same movement and your goal is to improve balance, you have to practice balancing. So you have to work this, you know, over and over again till your body gets comfortable finding the position and your body responds to this. All the stuff that happens when you do this, it's just your body responding to what it's trying to do to reset your position so you can stay balanced. So it's okay to do all of that flailing until eventually it just stops because your body starts to recognize what it's trying to do. Now, if you have trouble doing that, you can always use your counter, you can use your sofa, you can use a chair, just to hold and stay, just to practice a little bit using, you know, your chair or your counter as sort of a crutch, and use it as an apparatus to, you know, find out what it should feel like to be balanced. Once you've determined what that balanced feeling is, then you work off of that, and that's sort of a consciousness of your position. And over time, your mind will actually pick up on that, and your brain will start to calculate and figure out what it's doing. In fact, that's happening, you know, with everything that we're doing. You're just taking it in, storing all that information, and eventually feed it back to your body. So there is some give and take. You know, there's feedback throughout, so that's how we learn. Actually, we're learning everything in this way, especially movement. So that's really something that a lot of people don't realize. Well, you know, you can be book learned, but it doesn't teach you on this physical level. So you take that information, transfer it into the body, and begin to teach your body. You have to kind of talk to your body, build a relationship with yourself, and then start to understand, you know, what your goals are, what your achievement can be built over time. It does take, you know, time to practice these things because we're creatures of habit, so we have to do it over and over again till it becomes somewhat second nature. You know, like lifting a cup and drinking, or holding you know, something in your hand or writing. These are all things that happen. Driving is a great example of what happens with second nature. And once your driving gets better, it's really because you built it into a reflex action, and you don't have to think about it. Because if you had to think about everything that's happening when you're driving, like a new driver, you're going to be not as efficient and alert when it comes to, you know, something that happens spontaneously. So when we lose our balance and we're moving, we hit obstacles that maybe causes us to respond. But if you don't have a trained response, which is what we're doing, then the chance of being confused is more likely. So consciousness of what we're doing, our position, when we step and we move, all of this comes into play when we start to move our bodies. Okay, next, we're going to go into what I call the empty stance and the archery stance. So what is that? That's really a bent knee here and a bent knee here. So when we bend, actually it's supporting weight. When we go forward, we're supporting weight. Actually, that happens throughout any transition. When you walk, when you move, that's actually the process. You have to shift your weight in order to move. So we call it the substantial and insubstantial, but the thing is, you have to coordinate it with your hands. This I call silk reeling exercise. So we're here. You're holding the ball, and hold the ball position is upper ball, lower hand, upper hand. We're going to go forward, and back. So we go to this hold the ball position, pretty standard in any Tai Chi, and we separate the hands to where like this. Okay, so look at that position. Then we sit back, and then the hands have to drop down so they're essentially on the same plane, and then we hold the ball again. And then we go forward, and then bring the forward hand down. You know, I don't refer to right or left because sometimes that gets confusing. So what we're going to do is look at the front leg and the back leg. So in the front leg, that's sort of your lead hand, okay? Let's use your front hand to take you forward, and then it comes back in a lower hoop position in the backside. This hand is actually over the top, and then it goes forward, and we separate the hands. There's a lot happening here, so you might not be able to pick up and coordinate the movements in the beginning, but find the different positions that we pass through. So we have 1, 2, so you see that, 3, 4, sit back, 1, 2, no, this is 5. So now we're going to go 1, 2. Okay, you see this position, this mirror image, this is how you should be looking. You go up, that's 3, and then 4. Now when this hand starts to drop, you start to sit back. And then you turn, and it repeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then up, 1, 2, 3, 4, I missed 5 last time. So we're back to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So broken down into 5 points of contact, and then 5 positions, and then it starts to merge. When this goes 1, 2, you're here. 3, 4, you're here. And then 5 becomes this. Okay, as you cycle through, eventually you build this sequence of events and the pattern of movement, and eventually you develop the posture. Okay, next we're going to do it on the other side, balance that movement, so we have that forward and backward action in the legs. We're going to focus a little bit more on that later on. Here's hold the ball, and we go forward and back. Forward and back. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remember, the front leg and the lead hand creates the big circle. The back hand comes over the top on the back side, and it's somewhat smaller. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're able to sequence and cycle through until the movements become continuous. Okay, next, we're going to pull our heels together. So we usually do this a little earlier in the class, but we're going to go through the footwork, hands on the waist. So we're going to pivot on the balls of the feet to create the square stance, okay? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you see how we do that? We pivot on the ball of the foot, and then they merge where the heel is. That should be about 90 degrees. If we go like this, the knee goes out, and you pivot, shift your weight, and the knee goes out. You end up in a square stance. So if you just practice that, you begin to get familiar with how to move from one stance to another, right? So that's actually one of our basic drills, and we're going to do it from the back side. So if you're following from the back, so you're following me from the rear, so my foot does this, and it does that. Okay, 1, 2. Here's your 90-degree position. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, everybody good with that? Now, I'm going to pivot on the ball of the foot like this. We sit back and turn. We go forward and back. Pivot back to square. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's your archery stance. Looks a little bit like a triangle, and then we go back. Sitting stance. 1, 2. Pivot, toe heel, forward and back. So we have to sit into this leg. That's why it's called a sitting stance or empty stance. Now you have to bring your weight to the front leg, and then as this straightens, the front knee folds, and we sit back. Then we reset the square position, and then we go in this direction. So it's essentially a 180-degree turn, stopping in the middle. Okay, now let's turn again. Now I'm going to bring up in the concept of vertical elbow. So vertical was that triangle that we talked about with this hand forward. And if we want to put a hand here, and we go forward. Okay, that's just back and forth. So in the vertical elbow, your toe is up, your fingertips up. So you look in the mirror, your toe and heel is actually compatible. You see that? It's parallel. Now when we go like this and we go forward, we have the thumb up and the front knee. So that's all you have to do. Now you go to the other side. Here's our triangle. I'm going to turn over here and switch the hands. Vertical, horizontal, back to vertical. That's thumb up, half round, vertical, and we'll go back to the center, and that's where we are. So those, I think, are pretty basic movements and fundamentally important, because you want to, when you see the vertical hand or the toe up position, that it kind of clicks, oh, that's what that is, that's what that is. Because the visuals are important in the beginning. Then as we build, an understanding of, the body form on the bottom, the body form on above, it starts to make sense when we combine the hands and feet. With kinds of hands and feet, we create postures. Postures are, the components that make up the Tai Chi sequence. So I teach the Tai Chi paradigm as a sequence, but we build off of that, working with, say, preparation, which is this. And then we have a middle position, which is the triangle. We separate the hands. We have the elbow down. That's what we just did, the right and left side. And then we have the horizontal elbow position, where we would combine the hands. Okay. So that's a lot of information, but seems like it's moving pretty fast as far as what I'm going through, and you can't feel that you can't recall or remember everything that we're doing. But that's normal, because everything that we're doing is new to you. So while, I'm building a gross understanding or giving you a lot of movements to see, you see that we actually move the whole body. And it's something that you can build over time, but it's as simple as, like learning the ABCs of our movement. You can't actually string it together till we have some basic fundamentals and basic coordination, learning how to move the body. Okay, now going forward, going on, we're going to work the preparation movement. Okay, so we did that. Now we're going to lift up again, press down, and press. Lift up. So this is dropping the elbow. If you drop your elbow, your hands will automatically drift back. If you look in the mirror, when my elbows drop, my hands begin to fold, and you create this vertical down pushing movement, okay? Now, once you're in this position, that's actually a starting position. It's called preparation, okay? If we bring our hands together, okay, and then triangle the hoop, we hold this position in the lower section. So this is low, waist level, middle, and high, okay? So we're going to go to the low position, hold that. This is called standing meditation. This is probably the easiest part of the training, where you just stand still, clear your thoughts, focus on the shape of your arms. That's a circular position. I call it a hoop. Tongue touches the roof of your mouth. Breathe through your nose, clear your thoughts. You can gaze out. Pick a spot maybe 7-8 feet in front of you, and just think of nothing except for what you're holding as a shape. Still be aware that your body is in a standing position. Try to feel the ground underneath you. So it's just heightening your awareness. Now let's lift it up to about shoulder height. Elbows down. So this is your triangular position. Elbows are down. Lower the hands. Now we're in this low hoop position, but then turn it to the side and press and lift your spine. Lift your spine, but don't lift the head. Keep your chin tucked in slightly so you take the tension out of the nape of your neck. The spine should be vertical. Your tailbone should be plumb. That's what they say. Tailbone should be centered. Don't tuck your hip like some people do. Just relax, lift, and let everything stack as if it was in a true alignment. Okay, now extend the fingers, sort of thrusting with a little bit of tension or energy in the fingertips. Lift from above. Still tongue touching the roof of your mouth. Breathe naturally through your nose. No need to coordinate breath with movement because you're not really moving. Okay, release. Deep breathing. Up on your toes and down. Okay, so all that pivoting that we did actually takes us in directions, and one of the things I try to get across is that, you know, when you're moving forward and then moving to the side, changing direction sometimes is a challenge. So when you learn to pivot your feet become your steering. They're like your tires when you turn the steering wheel. So when you turn in a direction and you start to move, that's the simplest way to take you in a direction. So you can pivot on the heel as one example. Then you go to the ball of your foot, and you go to your ball of your foot. So it's really just changing directions. If you stay connected to ground before you move, then you're going to have a point to start from. So that's kind of, one of the challenges for some people with Parkinson's, that, once they change directions, they feel a little confused, and, how do I get to the next point? So, you can see someone might maybe work this way because they're not sure. But by doing this exercise, it'll start to help you begin to know where you're going by pointing your toe. Your big toe or your front foot really dictates your direction. Now, we do this forward and backward movement and some of the things that we do as postures, and when we turn, we have this mechanism where we shift the weight and then we move the unweighted foot. Okay, so that's walking forward and then going backward. Okay, so that's really essentially how we should be moving and walking, because when we transfer weight to the front and then we take that step, we have to have 100% of the weight on one leg before we move this and touch down. And if you soften your stance and soften your legs and soften your feet, then your stability is going to improve, because you're building a foundation with some sensitivity without the rigidness in the lower part of your body. It's something to keep in mind. It doesn't happen overnight, but the thing is, you have to be aware of this. This is as a process, that when we build and we sink down the stance, it's not just bending our knees, it's actually releasing the tension in our body so we stabilize. The foundation of our body is from the bottom. It's like a building. The foundation supports everything above. So if your foundation is weak, everything above it is going to be compromised. So when we build our foundation from the bottom up and we have good control of the lower half of our body, then we have better stepping, more mobile, and our walking and everything else that's involved with that will improve. Now, in Tai Chi, we actually, when we start to do forward and backward stepping, happens in the form, but actually what we're doing is building directional awareness and also the challenge of balance and coordination. Okay, so we actually move our hands and legs like this. Okay, so when we step like this, and like this is one of the drills that I do, and it happens like this. The hands move like this. Okay, now that's how our arms swing. Typically, that's how you should walk. Now when we walk, we should move this foot like this. So your opposite hand works with the opposite leg. So when this leg and the opposite hand is this, so it's my right, your left. So that's why sometimes it's a little confusing. But just look at my leg. It goes forward and this hand goes forward. Then we're going to switch. And then we switch. Then we switch. Then we switch. Then we switch. And we switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Now we go back to center, starting off, moving the hands again. 1, 2. So you swing your body swing your arms actually by turning your torso a little bit, free up the body, free up the movement above your waist. Okay, now once the hand is out, okay, bring the foot out. And then we switch, and then we switch. Switch. Take your time. It's hand and leg relationship. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that exercise is actually very unique to what we're teaching in a Tai Chi paradigm, because that exercise is derived from one of the systems that I teach, and I felt that those movements are very important and essential to helping people with Parkinson's learn how to walk and regain that control. Now, it's unique because our system has that movement in it, although I've extracted it in the format so that you can practice it so that it's unique to our system, that when you learn to move, the compensation and the counterbalance of motion starts to become very important. But in the beginning, we actually will have a little trouble trying to build that coordination. Okay. So the other one, what we do actually is like this. And then the other side, it starts like this, and you move the center, you move it out, and you move it in, and you move it out, and you move it in. You move it out, you move it in, and you cycle through. So all of this, like I mentioned earlier, how do you improve your balance, how you improve your stability? It all has to do with what you're doing standing on your feet. If you have a disability and you can't stand, we have the adapted series where you do it sitting down. But ultimately, the best is to do these exercises standing because it involves more, the coordination is there. But for mobility and stepping and controlling, building agility of footwork, all of that comes from working the footwork, how to move. This is very important if you're trying to maintain, the capacity to walk, to keep everything balanced, your gait, turning in a direction. All of this stuff is important because you're learning from square one. Most of us learned how to walk by mimicking. And as an infant, you really didn't understand. You just got up and copied and you learned it. But, for people that begin to lose these abilities, and that happens with whether you have a stroke or you have, any type of other disability, you don't understand how to relearn it. So when I take it down to this level, if you can pick up on the strategy and develop the consciousness of what we're trying to build, because it's very natural movement. It's a natural phenomenon. It's something that we're trying to get across to you so that you'll understand that it's essential to do certain exercises, not just any exercise. It has to be very specific and it has to be very systematized, because just flailing your arms really doesn't do it. You have to really break it down to muscle memory, sequential memory, control of your position through sensitivity. All of this stuff is tied to everything that we're talking about, from your proprioception. If you look at the logo and the Tai Chi paradigm, the acronym of it explains everything that's built inside the Tai Chi paradigm. Now, the Tai Chi paradigm, I call it a modern approach to an antiquated way because, there's science to this. There's also a strategy to what it can do on different levels. For people with Parkinson's, for the aging-related type of things that people have, balance, all of these things. It is very specific to building, this information so that, as people learn, they begin to realize how important it is, not based on the fact that you can just do it and copy it, that there is knowledge and information that you have to build up here so that you can translate it into the body. So not only do you build your body, you build the brain plasticity that everyone talks about that we need to do as we age. So there's cognitive learning, there's integration of body, coordination. It's just an amazing thing if we work with it. I don't know how much more time we have, Lucien? Are we? 10 minutes. Okay, so, those are, some of the strategies that we use in learning movements with the Tai Chi paradigm for Parkinson's. Now, there's another exercise that I like to do. Now, walking is something that we need to improve on. We need to walk, right? So what do? We're going to step 3 times forward and 3 times backward, okay? So we're just going to leave our hands down here, and we're going to step 1, 2, 3. Try to develop a soft walk. Left, right, left. And we're going to go forward again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now when you see it, when you go forward is right, left, right. Left on the back side, so it's right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, so that's pretty simple. 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. Okay, now I'm going to make a circle like this. And I make a circle like this. So what is that? It's clockwise rotation and counterclockwise rotation. So when we go forward, we're going to go clockwise. So we're going to go forward. So keep the hands in movement. Now we're going to go like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's go backwards. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you follow that format and you develop the coordination and the building blocks to building that sensitivity and timing relationship. Now, you know, what's prescribed for people with Parkinson? Sometimes boxing, sometimes ballroom dancing, music, anything that's kind of sequential in one way, but builds integration of body, coordination, footwork, mobility. Those are the things that we try to bring in as maybe things to learn. You can't learn all of this because it just takes you forever and no one has enough time to travel all over the place, especially in this environment. But the thing is, I teach that forward because I mentioned earlier that training is specific. So we're going to get good at walking, we have to walk. You get good at whatever, Tai Chi, you have to practice it. Good at balance, you have to practice balance. So you have to have a strategy, a technique in building that. So ballroom dancing, that's moving on your feet and it's coordinated with a partner, but we don't have partners or you to work with at home, but the thing is, you have to be pretty good at dancing in order to do that. So that's, you know, takes even more practice. You know, I saw a video of a person that actually had Parkinson. He was going to, and he became a champion ballroom dancer, which is kind of inspiring for everyone, but he said he was going to do ballroom dancing until they find a cure for Parkinson. So that's inspiring in a sense for everyone. So ballroom dancing is similar to this. So this is just a training tool to take you in the direction where your hands and legs are working together, and you kind of build this. Now this is actually what we do in some of the moving step Tai Chi stepping that we have, because moving step Tai Chi is actually working with a partner like ballroom dancing. It does take a bunch of exercises to build that, but you have to be pretty proficient at the Tai Chi. But this is the most simple thing. Now in the Wu style Tai Chi, we have this step. And we have a step, it's called a diamond step. And when you turn and we move, this is what we're doing. Okay, this is something that I think is going to be a valuable exercise for all of us practicing this, because eventually when we move, we need to feel good about where we're going and know consciously what that first step is and then what the next step is going to be and what the next step is. So that's strategy for building your stepping and walking. But the other strategy is, how do you get rid of this tension in your upper body and, you know, the stiffness that you may face at some point? Well, it's learning to release the tension in your body and move, and move, and move. So breathing really requires this area to be relaxed. So you'll have to learn to expand and release. Expand and release. While we don't think of breathing as a motor skill because it just happens, we think of breathing as a motor skill because you learn to control your body. You know, we have lots of different breathing techniques and breathing exercise that we train, because there's a synchronization of the breath and movement. That's essentially what Qigong is. But Qigong is limited in its resources as far as movement because a lot of it is done standing. So just focusing on your breath isn't enough. You have to build the motor skill, the neurons, and everything else that's involved with the complexity of movement. If you can build complex movement, and you can do it at any stage in life because you just have to do it, eventually you will learn it. So on that note, I think we're pretty close to the time, and I'm going to be doing a class on Thursday. Hope you tune in, share it with anyone else that you know with Parkinson's. I think this is valuable for anyone that has it, and see what you can get out of it by just following the class. And we're going to continue to open this up to people with Parkinson's, and everyone's welcome to join.